I never thought I'd be here, telling this kind of story. One of my biggest fears in life was my wife cheating on me. It's the kind of thing you hear about happening to other people, but you pray it never happens to you. When I found out she was cheating, it felt like my whole life had fallen apart. Everything I thought I had, our marriage, our family, our future together, was gone in an instant. It was like someone had pulled the rug out from under me. I'm a lawyer, so I've handled a lot of difficult situations, but this was different. This wasn't about work or solving a problem for someone else. This was my life, my wife, and my family. And she had been lying to me all along. I want to tell you my story. I want to explain how I found out my wife was cheating and what I did about it. This isn't just about her betrayal. It's about what happens when someone breaks your trust in the worst way possible. If you've ever been afraid of this happening, or if you're just curious about how I dealt with it, listen closely. I'm going to tell you everything. Her ex-boyfriend wasn't a stranger to me. I knew him from a distance, but we were never close. To be honest, I didn't think much of him when we first got together. At the time, he was just her past, someone she'd left behind. Or so I thought. From what I'd been told, their breakup had been messy. She was so devastated that she couldn't see a way forward. Her parents even confided in me later that it got so bad she started talking about not wanting to live anymore. I wasn't in her life at that point, but knowing how much pain she went through made me even more determined to be the kind of man who wouldn't let her down. When I did come into the picture, it wasn't as simple as just dating her. Her family was heavily involved, and I can't blame them. After what she'd been through with him, they wanted to make sure that whoever she let into her life next wasn't going to hurt her. They asked me a lot of questions: what my intentions were, whether I was serious about her, what my long-term plans were. At times, it felt like I was being interrogated, but I understood. They were just trying to protect her, and I meant every word I said to them. I wasn't playing games. From the moment I met her, I knew she was special. She was the most beautiful person I'd ever been with. I poured everything I had into making her happy. I wanted her to feel safe with me, to know that she could trust me, that I wasn't going to be another chapter in her book of heartbreak. We didn't date for long, 6 months, to be exact, but I didn't need more time to know she was the one. When you know, right? Another 6 months after that, we were engaged. 3 months later, we were married. At the time, it felt like my greatest achievement wasn't in my career or anything else. It was her. Having her by my side made me feel like I'd won some unspoken prize. I thought I'd taken away her pain, that I'd erased her past with my love. I never imagined that same past would come back to haunt me years later. It was a Tuesday. I wasn't feeling great, just one of those days where your body tells you to slow down. Normally, I'd push through, head to the office, and deal with work as usual, but this time I decided to stay home. I don't usually stay home from work. In our 3 years of marriage, I could count on one hand the times I'd done it. I called in sick, made myself a cup of tea, and settled on the couch to rest. My wife, as usual, had her routine, gardening in the backyard, her favorite way to spend an afternoon. I was dozing off when her phone, left on the coffee table, started buzzing. At first, I ignored it, but it kept going off, ring after ring, the same name flashing on the screen. It was a name I didn't recognize. Something about it caught my attention. She hadn't mentioned anyone new in her life recently, and this was definitely a female name. My first thought was that it might be a friend or a colleague. Curiosity got the better of me, so I picked up the phone. My intention wasn't to snoop or invade her privacy. I thought maybe it was important, and I could tell the caller to ring back later when my wife was inside. But the moment I answered, I froze. The voice on the other end was male. He sounded cheerful, and what he said sent a chill down my spine. "Hey, babe. I was just thinking about you. How's my queen doing?" I didn't know what to say. For a second, I thought maybe I misheard him. I cleared my throat and said, "Hello." That's when he hung up. Just like that, the line went dead. I stared at the phone in my hand. Who was this guy, and why was he calling my wife babe and queen? I needed answers. I went straight to the call log. My stomach sank as I scrolled through the history. This wasn't just a one-off call. They'd been talking a lot. Morning, afternoon, night, it didn't seem to matter. The same number, over and over again. I clicked on the messages. And there it was, right in front of me. Their conversation wasn't just friendly. It was intimate. He called her all sorts of pet names. She called him things she'd never even said to me. There were jokes, compliments, and even a few photos. But the worst part? They'd been planning meetups. There were specific times and places mentioned. Restaurants, hotels, his place, and even my house. I could feel my heart pounding in my ears. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. My wife, the woman I thought I knew inside and out, had been sneaking around behind my back. But I needed to be sure. I couldn't rely on assumptions. I opened Truecaller, a quick way to identify unknown numbers. When the results popped up, my stomach dropped. It was her ex-boyfriend. The guy I knew about, the one her family swore she was done with. It all started to click. The frequent calls during the day when I was at the office. The time she said she was out running errands. The moments she seemed distracted at home. It wasn't my imagination. She was having an affair. And not just with anyone. With him. I sat there, staring at the phone, feeling a mix of anger, heartbreak, and betrayal. This wasn't just a mistake. This was deliberate. And I knew, at that moment, I couldn't let it slide. I didn't let my emotions take over. I knew I had to think clearly, especially because we had a child involved. I wasn't just going to let this slide, but I also wasn't going to act recklessly. I'm a lawyer, and if there's one thing I've learned, it's that preparation is everything. First, I started gathering evidence. I took screenshots of every incriminating message. I saved the call logs showing how often they spoke, usually in the afternoons when I was at work. I even went through the photos they sent to each other, photos I would never have imagined my wife would send to another man. It was disgusting and heartbreaking, but I knew I had to keep going. If I was going to confront her, I needed to be sure I had everything. There could be no room for her to twist the story or deny it. Once I had enough evidence, I contacted a divorce lawyer. Not just any lawyer, but someone who specializes in these types of cases. I didn't tell my wife, of course. I didn't even let her suspect anything. I acted normal at home like nothing was wrong because I needed time to prepare. My lawyer was thorough. We sat down and planned every step, focusing on two main goals: getting full custody of my child and protecting the assets I had worked so hard to build. The child custody part was critical for me. I love my child more than anything, and I wasn't about to let him grow up in an unstable environment with a parent who was willing to lie and cheat so easily. My lawyer explained that to win custody, we needed to show the court that my wife's actions weren't just a betrayal to me, but could affect our child's well-being. Her affair, the lies, even the time she spent sneaking around. It all painted a picture of someone who wasn't putting the family first. Then there were the assets. I wasn't about to let her walk away with half of everything, especially knowing she had used some of our money to fund her secret meetings with her ex. My lawyer helped me document every suspicious expense, restaurant bills, hotel stays, even random withdrawals she couldn't explain. It all added up. Over the next few months, I continued to act like everything was fine. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done, sitting at the same table with her, smiling, pretending, while knowing what she was doing behind my back. But I had a plan, and I knew I had to stick to it. I wasn't rushing. I wasn't panicking. I was building a case that would leave no room for argument. When the time came, I wanted to be ready. Soon it was Christmas Day, and we were at her parents' house, just like we'd done every year since we got married. They had one of those picture-perfect Christmas settings. Everyone was in good spirits. It was the kind of gathering that made you feel like nothing could go wrong, except I knew better. For months, I had been holding onto a secret that I couldn't keep anymore. That day, I decided it was time. If I was going to end this marriage, it had to be on my terms and in front of everyone who thought our relationship was perfect. We were halfway through dinner when I cleared my throat. The conversation had been light up until then, mostly about holiday plans and her sister's new job. But when I spoke, the room went silent. "Do you ever think about your ex?" I asked her loud enough for everyone to hear, keeping my tone casual. She froze. You know, when someone's body stiffens, and you can tell they're scrambling to come up with an answer? That was her. Then she laughed, one of those fake, nervous laughs. What kind of question is that? She said, trying to play it off. I didn't smile. I kept looking at her. I mean it. When was the last time you spoke to him? Her mom shifted in her seat, visibly uncomfortable. Her dad stopped and looked at me. Everyone knew who her ex was. It wasn't just some guy. He was the first love who'd nearly broken her beyond repair. She shook her head and waved me off. Why are you bringing this up? That's such an old story. I haven't talked to him in years. She said it so confidently that if I didn't already have proof, I might have believed her. But I wasn't there to be fooled. Really? I said. Because I'd like to see your phone. Now she looked cornered. What? Why? She stammered, still trying to sound innocent. What's wrong with you? This isn't funny, but I wasn't joking and I wasn't backing down. If you've got nothing to hide, then you won't mind showing me your phone. Right here. In front of everyone, the room got so quiet you could hear the crackle of the fireplace. Her mom looked at her, concerned. She hesitated, but eventually slid her phone across the table, putting on this act of, I have nothing to hide. I picked it up, unlocked it, and scrolled straight to the name I was looking for. I turned the phone to face her family. Does anyone here know a woman named Sarah? I asked. Everyone shook their heads. Well, Sarah, I said, scrolling through the messages, is not a woman at all. It's your ex-boyfriend. Her face turned pale. What are you talking about? She said, her voice cracking. That's not true. I held her phone up and dialed the number. The speaker rang loudly, filling the awkward silence in the room. Everyone's eyes were on her now. She sat frozen, her hands gripping the edge of the table. Then a man's voice answered. His voice, deep, unmistakable, echoed from the phone. Hey, babe, he said casually. The color drained from her parents' faces. Her mom gasped audibly. Her dad's expression hardened. I hung up without saying a word and placed her phone back on the table. That's him, I said, looking directly at her. That's the man you've been talking to for months. The man you've been meeting behind my back. She tried to stammer out an explanation, but I wasn't finished. I pulled out a folder I had tucked into my bag. And in case anyone doubts me, I said, here's the proof. I slid the folder across the table. Inside were screenshots of their messages, photos they'd exchanged, and even call logs. Her mom opened it and gasped again, covering her mouth. Her dad didn't even look at her. He just stared at the folder. I'm done, I said, standing up. I'm done with this marriage. I'm done with the lies. And I'm done with you. I reached into my bag one last time and pulled out the divorce papers I'd prepared weeks ago. I placed them on the table in front of her, along with a pen. You'll be hearing from my lawyer. And just so you know, you're not coming back to my house. When I say her family was shocked, I mean they were completely blindsided. Her mom just sat there, speechless as she stared at the phone. Her dad's face went pale like he couldn't believe what he was hearing. They'd put so much trust in me when I came into their daughter's life. They wanted to be sure I was the right man for her, someone who'd never hurt her the way her ex had. And here I was, the one exposing her lies. It felt like I was ripping their world apart. They tried to plead with me, especially her mom. She kept saying things like, please think about your family. Think about your child. Her dad joined in too, asking if there was a way to save the marriage. But I wasn't hearing it. They didn't know how deep this cut, how much it destroyed me. I told them right then and there, this is not something I can forgive. I'm filing for divorce, and I'm fighting for custody of my child. It's been a few weeks since that night, and now the court process has started. This January has been a whirlwind. My wife, or should I say soon-to-be ex-wife, is trying to fight for custody of our child. I knew she'd fight back, but I'm prepared for this. I've spent months building my case, making sure I have all the evidence I need to show the court what's really going on. The first part of my strategy is to prove how her affair has negatively affected our family. It's not just about me being heartbroken. The stress and tension she brought into our home, even without me realizing it at the time, could have impacted our child. Kids pick up on these things, even if we think they don't. I have to make the judge see that. The second part is financial. She used our money to fund her affair. Dinner dates, hotel stays. It's all there in the evidence I gathered. Every pound she spent on that man was money taken away from our household, from our child's future. I want the court to see that this wasn't just an emotional betrayal. It was a betrayal of the life we were building together. The court process hasn't fully kicked off yet, but it's only a matter of weeks now. I'm hopeful the judge will see the truth and rule in my favor. I'm asking for full custody of my child, not to punish her, but because I believe I'm the one who can provide a stable, healthy environment. I'm also fighting for the house and the assets we built together. It may sound harsh, but after what she's done, I don't think she deserves to keep any of it. This fight isn't easy. It's draining emotionally and financially. While we waited for the court, whenever someone asked me what happened, friends, neighbors, even colleagues, I didn't hold back. I told them everything. I showed them the messages, the photos, and all the evidence I had. I didn't add or exaggerate anything. I let the truth speak for itself. People were shocked, especially because everyone thought we were this perfect couple. Little did they know what was happening behind closed doors. I made sure her actions weren't just something I'd suffer alone. I made sure anyone who asked knew exactly why I was divorcing her. I don't think it's wrong to say that her reputation took a major hit. She wasn't just a cheating wife to me anymore. That label followed her everywhere. But here's the part that blows my mind. She still tried to apologize. Over and over. She called, texted, and even showed up at my house once. She kept saying, "I made a mistake," as if that could erase what she did. I listened to her once, just once, and all I could think was how good she was at lying. She carried on that affair for months. I mean, she didn't just cheat. She planned it, managed it, and hid it all so perfectly that even I, a lawyer trained to spot deception, didn't catch on. It's hard to explain how that level of betrayal changes you. If she could deceive me so well, how do I trust anyone else moving forward? How do I know someone isn't just playing the same game with me? I guess that's the lasting scar. Anyway, that's my story. That's how I handled it. Maybe you think I went too far. Maybe you think I didn't go far enough. I don't know. What would you have done in my situation? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And hey, thanks for listening to the end. I appreciate your time. Drop your opinions below. I'd love to hear them.